Here we go. This is the Skip Bayless Show, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I will get to my NBA playoff picks in just a few minutes. Man, I am so tempted to take Oklahoma City to win it all, to beat the flawed and injured Celtics in the finals. Well, I'm sure a whole lot of people out there think the Thunder, my Thunder, will get exposed maybe by Ja and Memphis in the first round of the playoffs as playoff frauds. I will also get to an extremely credible source taking an extremely credible shot at this guy. What's that guy's name? LeBron James. But first up, I want to address President Smith, as in my friend, my brother, Stephen A. Smith, saying he might just have to run for president of the United States, not for mayor or governor or senator, for POTUS, my friend Stephen A. He said over the weekend that many powerful people in Washington are all but begging him to run for president, all but demanding he run for president. So now he must strongly consider, he said, running for president. And my reaction is, good for Stephen A. If a primary requirement for a president in today's America is being telegenic, then Stephen A. Smith was born to be president of the United States. Stephen A., trust me on this, is more gifted on television than anyone I have ever worked with. Anyone, not even close. And I've worked with a whole lot of people over the last 35 years in sports television, including about 25 of those years working very closely with Stephen A. Smith, debating Stephen A. Smith on a daily basis. Greatest gift of gab I have ever encountered on television belongs to Stephen Anthony Smith. Trust me. Now understand, I never ever lost a single sports debate to Stephen A. Smith because I'm smarter about sports than he is, but man, he always made me work because of all of his verbal verbosity, his verbal wizardry, the verbal behind the back, between the legs that he could throw at me, his creating and coining words and phrases on the fly, off the cuff, on live national TV. Man, I over-prepared for all of our sports debates. This man just sat down and wordsmithed me into knots. Stephen A. Wordsmith. Half the time, I don't think he had any idea where he was actually going with his argument. I think he actually surprised himself with what started coming out of his mouth. And suddenly, I'm listening to the Gettysburg Address coming back at me across the table. 7 years ago, your Dallas Cowboys played in their last Super Bowl. What? Stephen A. just looked and sounded so convincing on television that some people out there actually believed he won an occasional sports debate against me, which was ASA 9, ASA 10, ASA 11, maybe even ASA 23 in honor of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, greatest player ever in any sport. If we're just talking about telegenic, the ability to convince and captivate on TV, Stephen A. is actually a little more telegenic than President Trump is. President Trump was natural born telegenic. Stephen A. is a lot more telegenic than President Biden was or than President Obama was. Now, President Obama came across to me as extremely bright and poised and in control, but Stephen A. is quite frankly and clearly more dynamic on TV than President Obama was. So I say, if Arnold Schwarzenegger can be governor, Stephen A. can be president. If Jesse the Body Ventura and Sarah Palin and Al Franken can be governor, Stephen A. can be president. If former college football coach Tommy Tuberville can be a senator, then Stephen A. can be president. If Clint Eastwood and Jerry Springer and Sonny Bono can be mayor, Stephen A. can be president. If Cynthia Nixon and Clay Aiken and Antonio Sabato and George Takei can run for office, then so can Stephen A. My God. If Ronald Reagan, an actor who described himself as a political outsider, can get elected governor of California, then can get elected president of the United States, hey, Stephen A. can too. For that matter, exactly what real political experience did Donald Trump have before he got elected president twice? This is what I know about Stephen A. Smith. He has even more passion for politics than he has for sports. Trust me. I was always the sports fanatic who watched every single game, who lived and breathed sports, who ate and slept sports, who wouldn't know politics from the pollen count. Stephen A. closely followed politics and off camera got even more worked up about politics than he got worked up about sports on camera. Trust me. I will never forget that night back in, I believe this was 2008. Ernestine and I were on vacation in my hometown of Oklahoma City in our hotel room at the Oklahoma City Marriott on Northwest Highway. Stephen A. called. I think this was a Sunday night. Things hadn't worked out for him at ESPN. I don't know all the details, but he'd wound up working for Fox Sports Radio at that point. At that point, Ernestine was ready to go to dinner. She was hungry, but I waved to her. No, I need to talk to Stephen A. He wanted me to help him get back to ESPN, to the worldwide leader, which I eventually did with all my might. I knocked on a lot of top floor doors for my brother, Stephen A. Smith. But in that 2008 conversation, he told me how he'd made an appearance on The View. He told me about how he'd done some CNN shows. And I said to him, you know, you were born to be on a political show. That's your passion. That's your greatest expertise. That's the path you need to take. I told him on the phone that night from Oklahoma City. And he said something like, well, I'm known for sports. And I said, you can become known for politics. Of course, if at that moment you'd have told me Stephen A. one day would run for president of the United States, I'd have said at that point, yeah, right, I'll be the first man on Mars. Then I will never forget the party that Ernestine and I threw out here in our new place in Los Angeles just before I started on FS1. This would have been August of 2016. Stephen A. actually flew out and surprised me at that party. My new partner, Shannon Sharp, was also there, of course, that night. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that was the first time Stephen A. and Shannon ever met. That night ended with Stephen A. and Shannon going nose to nose about politics. Not about LeBron versus Jordan or if Tony Romo could ever take my Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl. No. Politics was the subject. To me, it was like they were speaking a foreign language. I tell you now what they were arguing about, but I honestly tuned them out at that moment, talked to other party guests. As Ernestine will tell you, I'm just not political, so I am not qualified to break down Stephen A's political qualifications or his beliefs or his platforms or whatever all that stuff is. All I can guarantee you is that he's knowledgeable, he's driven, he's very fair-minded, and he is on fire with making this country as great as he could ever make it. When I had Stephen A. on this show a few weeks back, you might remember, he made the point that he makes too much money at ESPN to run out the door and dive into politics. Yet, what I do know about running for president is that it takes way more money than even Stephen A. makes. So I'm hoping those Capitol Hill power brokers encouraging him to run for president have pockets deeper than the Potomac. Donald Trump always did. So look, if nothing ever comes of this, it'll still be great publicity for Stephen A. At least it will get a lot of people talking about and thinking about Stephen A. as a politician. Who knows, maybe it'll lead to his running for, I don't know, for senator from New York. But if I know Stephen A., he's thinking, I don't do senator, I run for president. It will not shock me if Stephen A. does run for president. It would not shock me if Stephen A. got elected president. Stephen A. Smith is the Michael Jordan of telegenic. In today's America, that one gift just might prevail. Quick sip of Diet Dew. The breakfast of champions, nectar of the gods. So I'm about to give you my play-in picks before I break down the entire NBA playoffs. Playoffs, I know. Politics, I don't. And by the way, FanDuel is giving all new customers a shot at $250 in bonus bets. You can join FanDuel today, right now. You'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So from three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Just visit FanDuel.com/skip to get in on all the NBA play-in tournament action. That's FanDuel.com/skip for your shot at $250 in bonus bets. Now for my play-in picks. Give me Magic -5 at home over the Hawks. Give me Golden State -7 at home over Memphis. Give me the Bulls -1 at home over the Heat. And finally, give me, and this could be heart overhead, the Mavericks getting 5 at Sacramento. Please remember FanDuel.com/SKIP skip for your shot at $250 in bonus bets. Now, speaking of my picks, look, I make them because I enjoy making them, because I'm pretty knowledgeable, but please, I'm not pushing these as stone cold locks. I make picks to make you think, to stimulate your thinking, not so much for you to take to your bank. And then again, over the 7 years I worked with Shannon Sharp, I believe I wound up 72 cases ahead in our Diet Mountain Dew bets. Diet Dew is my favorite drink. Quick sip. So Shannon began in 2016 betting me cases of Diet Dew on NFL and NBA games. And I wound up plus 72 cases. So there is that. And last Friday night, there was this. I hit 2 of my 3 FanDuel picks only because of a miraculous rally in Denver. My logic was I went with the Nuggets at home minus 6.5 because Memphis had lost a shootout the night before. This was in Memphis, but to the T-Wolves. So they had to play back-to-back. And because it just seemed like a cloud had been lifted off the Nuggets when Michael Malone was fired. So, of course, you know what happened. Memphis led by as many as 15 in the second quarter, which meant I was down 21.5 points in mid-second quarter, and I pretty much gave up. Then Memphis led by 3 going to the fourth, only 3. And I'm thinking, well, okay, it's time for the Grizz to run out of back-to-back gas. Yet, fate had it. Memphis led by 5 with 6 minutes to go. And frankly, the Nuggets look like the dead-legged team at home. At which point, to my jubilant shock, Joker led a 14-1 finish for the home team that included Russell Westbrook skying to force a missed dunk by 8-foot-tall Zach Edey. And somehow Denver won the game 117-109, so they won by 8 and they covered 6.5. Look, I've been on the wrong end of this kind of miraculous rally more times than I can tell you, but more times than I want to remember. But Friday night, I was exhilarated, not deflated. Ernestine asked me what I was so happy about, and I said, oh, it was just another game. But hey, I was skying like Westbrook the rest of that night. Whew. And now it's time for my NBA playoff picks. First up, for the record, nobody outside Thunder Nation believes Oklahoma City is anything but a regular season fraud and a prime candidate for a first-round collapse. I do not believe that. But yes, I grew up in Oklahoma City. I still can't even believe Oklahoma City has a pro basketball team after I grew up with only minor league hockey. So you can disqualify me if you must. You can condemn and dismiss me for thinking only with my heart. But before the season started, I picked the Thunder to win the West, and I did so with my head. My brain told me SGA would be MVP. Boom. So I picked that too, and my brain told me this year's finals would be Thunder Celtics, so I went with that. But just to be emotionlessly objective at that point, I went with Boston in 7 over my hometown team because, well, I thought the Thunder would need to develop just a little bit of scar tissue from this year's first finals experience. Obviously, 2012 Thunder, the baby Thunder then of KD, Russ, and James Harden got there, lost to the Heat in 5. LeBron's Heat. It's about damn time, LeBron. But now that I've seen this Thunder team and this defending champ Celtic team for all 82 games, I'm here to announce I'm switching my pick. Call me a homer if you want, but I believe I'll hit a home run. I'll hit a home run with this switch. Thunder over Celtics in 7. You heard it here first. Why, you ask? The numbers scream, why? The Thunder just won a stacked Western Conference. Remember, Phoenix didn't even make the play-in tournament, didn't make the playoffs. They won it by 16 games. That's the all-time NBA record for winning a conference by games. 16 games they won the Western Conference by. Phoenix didn't even make the playoffs. The Thunder shattered the all-time record for average point differential per game. Think about this. They won by 12.9 points per game. 12.9. That eclipsed the record of the 1971 Milwaukee Bucks and the 1972 Los Angeles Lakers, who were both at 12.3 per game margin of victory. Both those teams won NBA championships. You want more? My Oklahoma City Thunder finished first in defense, including first in three-point defense. And my Thunder finished, slipping. They finished third in the NBA in offense. That includes first in the NBA in all-important free throw shooting, which tends to come to pass in the playoffs. You make them or you miss them. You advance on free throws. They're called free for a reason. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished first in scoring in the NBA. And are you ready for this? Number 1 in the NBA in defensive win shares. That's impossibly great. That's runaway MVP. First in offense, first in defense. And by the way, his teammate Jalen Williams, a first-time All-Star, finished 4th in the NBA in defensive win shares. I didn't even mention Lou Dort. He's good a perimeter defender, like an NFL safety or cornerback on the perimeter. Help me out here. What's not to like about the Thunder? Okay, so they're only 6th in the NBA in three-point shooting. Not terrible, but obviously they're not first. But they are only 12th in rebounding, though. Have you noticed that Isaiah Hartenstein has given my Thunder a mountain of a man in the middle? Deft touch, keen passing eye, as he does some dirty work for 7-foot-tall shot blocker, shot changer Chet Holmgren. Skinny as he still is, you've watched Chet this year become a man. Yet all I hear is that the Thunder got exposed twice this season, and that's all most people need to know. First time was in the in-season tournament title game when Milwaukee just jumped all over them. Took away SGA for the most part, double and triple teamed him. SGA that night shot 8 of 24. Milwaukee held Oklahoma City to only 81 points, as the Bucks did score 97. It was pretty much a blowout. And okay, you got me on this. That night, the deepest team by far in the NBA, the Thunder, couldn't push that one down the bench button, that Isaiah Joe, that Aaron Wiggins, who heated up and kept them in that game. Meanwhile, Milwaukee did make 17 of 43s. That's 43%. It happens, or you can put an SH in front of it happens. Then just the other day in Oklahoma City, Sunday afternoon, the Lakers put a 126-99 beatdown on the Thunder in Oklahoma City. Yep, you got me. Lakers made 12 threes in the first half, 22 for the game, tied a franchise record. So the Lakers, who rank 14th in the NBA in three-point shooting, did that to the best three-point defense team in the league. The Thunder, who are just sort of counting down the days until the playoffs get here. They were a little bit in cruise control. They just weren't ready for that 3-point storm against the Thunder. It happens, or just put an SH in front of it. Thunder did get revenge 2 nights later at home, even though Luka did get thrown out of that game. And I'm sure the Lakers feel really good about their chances against the Thunder in the playoffs. But I did say before the season started that the Thunder will beat the Lakers in 7 in the Western Conference Finals, and I am sticking with that. But I obviously didn't know this would be Luka and LeBron instead of Anthony Davis and LeBron. I also predicted that Luka's Mavericks wouldn't make it back to the NBA Finals, wouldn't even make it back to the conference finals because of Luka's 3-point shooting. And I'm also sticking with that. Against the Thunder, Luka will take and miss way too many threes. Remember, I said this. This season, Luka did shoot 36.8% from three, which ranked 99th in the NBA. Yet he averaged 9.6 attempts per game. That's 4th in the NBA. Almost 10 a game. I just don't like that math. Luka, as you remember, did get hot from three last year against Oklahoma City, then against Minnesota in the conference finals. Yet in the NBA Finals against Boston, Luka went 11 for 45. I picked the Mavericks to win that series, and he drove me out of my mind. I was rolling on the floor. 11 of 45. Come on, Luka, just make one. He shot 24% from three against the Celtics, who won, of course, in 5. Now, Luka did go from shooting 35% from three for the Mavericks this year to shooting 38 from three as a Laker, but he is still highly capable of a 1 for 10 just when you need it most. Just remember, Laker Nation, remember I said this. I give you this, the Lakers are now the most fun team in the league to watch, just captivating, enthralling, must-see TV featuring what I've already called again and again, the greatest three-guard backcourt in NBA history. You've got 2 all-time great passers, obviously Luka and LeBron, and one very good one in Austin Reeves, now a full-blown star who also serves as the Lakers' closer in a shock to me, but he is. I'm being honest with you. I really like this Lakers team. I just like Oklahoma City a little more. The Lakers are 19-13 since Luka arrived. He has missed 3 games. But they've suffered some really disturbing losses at home to Charlotte, at Utah, at Chicago, and of course at home. They got blown off their home floor by those same Bulls. I'm sorry. In all objectivity, I'm putting my money on my Thunder in 7. That's over the Lakers. You'll notice I didn't take one shot at LeBron James as I made my case against the Lakers. These are now the Los Angeles Lukas with Austin Reeves closing. At age 40, LeBron can average 25, 8, and 8 without much pressure, without much expectation. His production is mostly just gravy for the Los Angeles Lukas. That's why he could relax and just have the greatest combined shooting season of his entire career this year. A career high, 78.2 from the free throw line. Remember, I dared him before the year. Shoot 80% from the free throw line. Jordan averaged 84 for his career. There was some bet somebody threw at me, but I said, I'll take that bet. And he got it close, 78.2. LeBron also was 37.6 from three. Wow, congrats, LeBron. But that 78.2 from the free throw line, that tied Luka for 51st in the league. And that 37.6 from three ranked 74th. Still, for you, LeBron, very good. But what took you so long? Why didn't you fix your shooting in, I don't know, year 3 or 4? It's year 22. Now, speaking of three-point shooting, back to the Celtics. This regular season, they broke the all-time records for three-point attempts and three-point makes. Yet they ranked only 11th in the league in three-point percentage. And their best player, Jason Tatum, led the team with 10 attempts per game. Whew, that's Luka-esque. Yet Jason Tatum shot only 34.3% from three, which ranked 139th. I just don't love this math, especially against an Oklahoma City with the league's #1 three-point defense. And now Jaylen Brown has some kind of knee issue that sounds pretty serious. He had to get an injection. Could slow him down just a little. And when I'm rooting against the Celtics, Jaylen Brown always scares me more than Jason Tatum does. Jaylen Brown was rightfully the MVP of the conference finals and the NBA finals. And now he might be just even a little bit hobbled. By the way, don't know if you remember this, but the Thunder beat the Celtics both times this season. Both times. January 5th, Thunder beat the Celtics by 13 in Oklahoma City as SGA went 33-9-6. Thunder went 16 of 38 from three. That's 42%, while the Celtics went 9 of 46. Ouch, 19.6%. Aha, there it is. That can happen against the league's best three-point defense. Then on March 12th in Boston, Thunder won by 6 as SGA went 34-5-7. And Chet Holmgren chipped in 23 points and 15 big boards. Celtics that night went 20 of 63 from three. 20 is pretty good, but 63 isn't. That's only 31.7%. And by the way, just a quick note on the Thunder against all the Eastern Conference. The Thunder went 29-1 against the East. Did lose at Cleveland by 7, as Cleveland did shoot 42% from three that night. But 29-1 against the East? Are you kidding me? Yeah, you got me in the in-season tournament final, the cup final, that didn't count. They got spanked by the Milwaukee Bucks. You got me on that one. So, speaking of the East, I will give you Celtics over Cavs in 7. That's, of course, in the East Finals. Nobody else in the East is going to threaten these two. Not the Knicks, not the Pacers, not the Bucks. Dame is iffy with his problem, health problem. But I do have Thunder over Celtics in 7 in the NBA Finals. And by the way, right now the Thunder are slightly favored over the Celtics to win it all. So I'm not exactly stumbling out onto the end of the limb with this pick, even though I'm sure you don't buy it. Yet, I must admit, the rest of the West, they all concern me because they're all legit threats, stacked threats. Okay, so what do I not like about Ime Udoka's Rockets? Not much, but they are really good, really, really well coached, really play hard on both ends, but they don't have SGA. Nuggets, they do have Russell Westbrook. And I just don't think a team will last long in the playoffs playing Russell Westbrook, especially at this stage in age, almost 30 minutes a game as the Nuggets have been. Just too many turnovers, too many out-of-control decisions, too many missed threes, too much Russ chaos. Remember I said this. T-Wolves, they're loaded. I definitely like them better with Julius Randle instead of Karl Anthony Towns. They're just a little mentally tougher. But it comes down to this. Ant-Man is not SGA, and he's definitely no Baby Jordan. I love his commercials. I love his energy. I do not fear him in big playoff games. Warriors? I must admit, they've definitely been better than I thought with Jimmy Butler. But I did watch the Clippers beat the Warriors in San Francisco in Sunday's playoff for the playoffs game. Man, Steph had a killer late turnover in regulation and a killer late turnover in overtime. Did have a great shooting game. He made 7 of 12 threes. But I'll swear, Steph Curry has had more old man games at age 37 than LeBron has had at 40. LeBron actually plays younger than Steph right here, right now. I think Steph is capable of a playoff dud when you least expect it and when Dub Nation least needs it. Which brings me to my Western Conference dark horse. I don't know if you've noticed, but this team has won 8 in a row, 18 of its last 21. That's pretty great. A team whose record over the last 21 games is second only to the Thunder and the Celtics. A team with the NBA's best coach, Ty Lue. I'm talking, of course, about the Clippers. I know for a fact Kawhi's knees are as healthy as they've been in a couple of years, and he is in the best shape I think he's ever been in of his life. Just a fitness beast. Kawhi had 33 Sunday at Golden State, and James Harden, had a blast from the past game. He had 39 big points in a big game. Big Zoo had 22 and 17 rebounds. He's fourth in NBA rebounding, and he's sixth in defensive win shares. It's a force. Norman Powell is a professional scorer. And Chris Dunn, have you checked him out? Once the 5th overall pick, he's given the Clippers a grit and a defensive toughness and energy and savvy that Paul George couldn't, not at this stage in age. Bogdanovich, as a Clipper, is shooting 50% from three. He's 41 of 82. Ben Simmons, remember him? He's giving the Clippers 17 quality minutes on both ends of the floor a game. This team is scary. But one thing I've learned about James Harden is that in the biggest playoff series, when you least expect it, least need it, Harden will go Houston James, and he'll leave you wondering why you ever trusted him after another one of those 6 of 24 from the floor games and 2 of 13 from three. You Houstonians will remember those games all too painfully. So can you hear that distant thunder? It's coming for the West. Then it's coming for Boston. Book it. Laugh at it. Regret it. And yeah, you're right. It's time for the Thunder to validate it. To validate the greatest regular season any NBA team has ever had. Ever. And my Thunder will validate. Remember this date. Quick sip of dew. Hey, you billions of blind witnesses out there. Just for the record, I'm not the only one who has the guts to criticize your man LeBron when he deserves it. Isiah Thomas criticized LeBron the other day live on NBA TV. And here's the qualifier, you blind witnesses. Isiah has no use for Michael Jordan, despises Michael Jordan, has often criticized Michael Jordan as overrated. So this wasn't some grumpy old man harumphing about LeBron's behavior. Nope, this was a Hall of Fame point guard, the leader of the Bad Boy Pistons, a former NBA coach, former GM, unloading on your Lord and Savior Jesus James. And by the way, LeBron had come out to warm up before last Friday night's Rockets game out here in LA. Came out looking like he was shooting by himself on his backyard court. No shirt, no Lakers shorts, no respect. This was LeBron saying, look at me. Rockets ain't playing anybody tonight, so I'm too cool for school. I'm too cool to actually put on my uniform to come out here and warm up. And Isiah was hot about it. Isiah said, and I quote, I just totally 100% object to this. If I was the GM or coach, I would never let one of my players walk out on the floor looking like this. I mean, we are professional NBA league. We ain't summer league. We ain't the YMCA. I just think this is still Isiah. I just think the professionalism in our NBA league has diminished so much. Look, I like LeBron, said Isiah. I'm a fan of his, but to walk out on the floor before a game with no shirt on and shoot? I mean, come on, man. Where are we at? What are we doing? Adam Silver, if you want to find somebody, find that, said Isiah Thomas, the Hall of Famer, who does not care for Michael Jordan. So obviously the commissioner isn't going to find the face of the league, not for shooting shirtless before a game. But Adam Silver should find him. Isiah was so right and so gutsy to say that. And I remind you, Isiah did not say Michael Jordan would have never done that. Jordan would not have done that. But Isiah didn't say that. A young Jordan rightfully believed Isiah froze him out of his first All-Star game. That was in 1985. Wouldn't pass him the basketball. Encouraged other established stars to join in freezing Jordan out. Then Isiah blamed Jordan for pulling the political strings that kept Isiah off the 1992 Dream Team. Turnabout is unfair play. But the point is, this wasn't me saying Jordan never would have. This was Isiah Thomas. This was truth, you blind witnesses. LeBron heard. LeBron did tweet later that night, man, I was going to say something, but it's useless at this point in my career. I won't be surprised if LeBron, through his men Rich and Maverick, makes sure Isiah gets frozen out of working playoff games for NBA TV. That's it for this episode. Thanks to Tyler Korn for producing, to Ernestine for overseeing, and of course to Hazel for approving.